Das ist jetzt auch schon aufgenommen. Das werde ich an unpassender Stelle reinschneiden. Ja. Welcome, everyone. This is the final video I'm doing interview-wise, and for the final video I thought it would be nice for especially our international players if we could do it in English, but for that I needed a bit of help from someone who I know is very self-reflecting.
Literally in the back.
Yes. Yes. That's why Sarah has agreed to join me today and to help us to conduct this interview. What some people may recall, back when Corona was a very big issue and, you know, there was no contact, and for long period we couldn't go to the Drachenfest and so on, I sort of, as a small project to try to sort of bridge that gap, started this whole thing in 2020, and then in 21 to 22 I changed the format slightly and did these interviews, most of them in German, but now a couple have been done in English. And I recall towards the end I was sort of saying, oh, fantastic, I will have exactly enough material for 13 interviews. A lot of you don't know this, Sarah doesn't know this, but 13 is my lucky number. For ask me why that came about, but
don't.
It is my lucky number, or at least I consider it my lucky number. And so I was very happy when I realized I had enough material and everything for 13 interviews that I could publish. Just, you know, a small thing. And then another thing happened, which was my stupidity. I did my 12th interview with Juan Carlos. It was a really good interview, except I forgot to turn on the microphone. Me and Sarah checked this microphone is turned on. So there's a very nice interview of Juan Carlos, but where you can't hear me at all. And some people may recall my very first interview, I did exactly the same thing. I did the complete interview with the microphone turned off, so my voice was not recorded. And then I went through that whole interview again and I dubbed it in, and you can tell, unfortunately, that it's not the first take altogether, but it kind of worked, you know, technical problems and everything. And well, I fired the person responsible for the sound engineer, that's the term I was looking for, Tontechniker in German.
So sophisticated.
Yes. And yes, so one interview disappeared. So the last interview, that is where Sarah will interview me, is interview number 12, unless I spring a really nasty surprise on Sarah at this moment.
You will not.
And do an interview of her first before she interviews me.
We can answer in tandem, so everybody's just really confused by the end, and so will we.
Yeah, I can work with that. That seems acceptable. So, as you can see from Sarah's completely... Yeah, she's really happy. She traveled over 3 hours to join me here where I live, and we're going to a LARP event tonight. So that's the real reason she came. She's came for the con. You realize I can see your reaction on the TV screen.
No, you can't.
Okay. Yeah, but so well, this will be a sort of double-ish interview where she will ask me some questions, I will ask her some questions, and I will make a two-part out of it and upload it on YouTube as soon as possible. And, well, you will just see the shenanigans and the hilarity that is about to ensue. Sarah can't wait.
Absolutely.
And she's so not regretting that she volunteered for this.
Oh, sorry, my work phone is ringing. I just, you know... Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah. Funny, wasn't that just a moment ago the private phone and not the work
oops.
phone?
How could I confuse these? Oh no.
Yes. Okay. Well, who shall go first then? Do you want to start or shall I start?
Well, I think the usual question is, so how long have you been around? And I know in your case that is like forever.
Okay. Well, the usual first question is just introduce yourself quickly, because not
What for?
well, not everybody knows who you are.
Well, not everybody knows who you are.
I know. I know.
Yeah, change that. Come on then.
Okay, well, I'm Tim. My character name in the Blue Camp is Timotius. I've been going to the Blue Camp since 2011, which coincidentally is also the time that I started LARPing. The Drachenfest was my very first LARP experience. And I remember the guy through whom I joined the LARP group that went to the Drachenfest. He told me, oh yeah, blah, blah, this and that. And the camp we're going to is the Blue Camp. And once I had those informations, I, went online, did some research, and I was very disappointed with the choice of camp. Clearly, a fighter like myself should have gone to the Red Camp.
Yeah, absolutely see that, yes.
I'm just saying, if I had found Drachenfest and everything on my own devices, I would not have started in the Blue Camp. I may have ended up in the Blue Camp, but I wouldn't have started there. But thanks to that, happy chance, I started off immediately in the Blue Camp, fell in love, and haven't left it since. So that's...
Sometimes even literally.
Okay, so that's, for those who don't know who I am, that's a short introduction of myself. And now,
Yeah,
so
sure.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the lovely people there, Ite and Ote, who you are and...
Can do.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I play Azina Sabaroshan. I am with the Kraken, with Captain ASCAP. Most of you will probably know him at least.
Yeah, everyone knows him.
Yeah, I know, right?
Everyone.
It's... Well, never mind. It's always a pleasure to walk through camp with him because you can't get, very far at all. So, never mind. I mean, I've been around since 2015. I can see you too. I know we have this debate going on since forever because he would swear on, I don't know, everything that's good in this world that I must have been around longer than he has. When in fact I haven't. I mean, I started LARPing about a year after you did. You said 2011. I visited my first in 2012. But didn't get into the whole fantasy, Middle Ages, whatever stuff that we do until 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's it, pretty much.
Good. And I already mentioned a little bit how I came to the Blue Camp. I always find it fascinating how people actually ended up, what were the coincidences that led them, because I mean, it's just, I'm a very good example. I shouldn't have ended in blue, but I did. Yeah. And once I was in, I couldn't go, I couldn't leave. And I think a lot of, the Blue Camp is clearly not for everybody, which is absolutely fine. And the other camps, some of them would be interesting or good for me, and some I just wouldn't say I would have the same experiences and joy that I want to have on these kinds of events. So, some people will come for a year to the Blue Camp and they might say, it's all right, it's okay, and then move on and find something that suits more their needs, their desires. And some people are like me and Sarah and will say, one of us, part of the ship, part of the crew, one of us.
Do some crazy chanting and some crazy dancing, and that's us in a nutshell, I guess. But yeah, I was also dragged in by a friend back in the day. So I didn't do any research at all, to be honest. It was just like, I'm also part of the building team. So if you want me to pick you up and take you along, you have to be part of the building team as well. I was like, yeah, sure. Didn't know what to expect at all. In retrospect, I think that by now knowing all the camps, I could personally place myself anywhere else. So if I would be anywhere else on the Drachenfest, I'd probably be in Aldradach.
That's a good shot.
Yeah.
Prototo.
Prototo.
Yeah. Okay. But I just need to quickly screw up the shot.
Screw up the shot.
Yeah.
Very
but
good.
yeah. Well, that's what I've done. We've done that and that. Okay. Good. So.
Are you interviewing me now? Am I interviewing you?
That's the question here.
I know. So let's get started with the fun questions.
Oh, always good.
So we know almost nothing of Timotius' background.
Yes.
What's your favorite rumor?
My favorite rumor. Well, it's difficult because I probably don't know all the rumors.
Well, of those you know, of course.
Yeah. No, that's so I can only choose from the ones that I know of, and
if you know of any rumors concerning Timotius' background or Timotius himself, just I know there will be a comment section somewhere. Just shout them out. I want to see them.
And the likelihood that they're true is uncomfortably high, unfortunately. So on a previous interview, I was actually asked a question about a rumor about me, which I had absolutely no idea about, and which I found really fascinating and interesting. And it was, well, is Timotius, is he common as mud? Is he, a lowly peasant born, or is he actually from the aristocracy or even royalty? Is he blue-blooded? See what I did there? And I liked that question because I'd never done that deeper background character development. I sort of the background story is that the character turned up once when the ship and the crew were about to sail away, and he just ran up the gangplank, very insistent that they take him with them. And the sort of idea was, well, he did something wrong, someone was chasing him, something. And the more vague it was, the better. And I think there was even a thought that every single time I would give a different excuse, a different story. Oh yeah, me and the mayor's daughter. Oh yeah, I cheated the Thieves Guild. Oh yeah, I killed my brother because of the inheritance. Oh yeah, I impregnated a girl. Oh yeah, I impregnated her mother as well. And just every time a somewhat different reason would be given, and you would never know, okay, which one was the true one. Were any of them true, or all of them true? And that was sort of the original thought, but sort of actual, where was he born? What kind of situation did he grow up in? How well was he educated? There wasn't any thought given into that. So when I heard that question, it threw me a little bit for an instance, and I sort of thought to myself, okay, well, reflecting back now, with the development, the character's gone, makes it more sense that he is simply, of a lowly family born. Did he have to work since childhood, or did he actually grow up in a life of privilege, and for personal reasons or extenuating circumstances, he had to give it all up? And I'm still not 100% sure which I would choose of those two, because it never had been an issue. The answer I gave at the time, which I still sort of think is probably the most accurate in the way I see it, is that he probably was born in the gutter, but he never considered himself lowly born. He was the king of that gutter. He was the guy who beat you up to steal your milk money. So from his perspective, he was on top, because he had the milk money and you didn't, and everything, So that would be the way I sort of see it, but there hasn't been yet a reason why you know, there hasn't been that situation where my past caught up with me and like, oh my God, you know, Brother Maynard from the monastery, what are you doing here? And
right.
yeah.
Well, you know, these things are usually quite entangled, so if you don't have anything set up, then there could be nothing be built upon this, because if there's nothing can come out of this. I usually approach this quite differently, so whenever I will draft up a new character, I have a set background. Not entirely, but just basically the beginnings, and after I played that character once, maybe twice, then I know, okay, so this is the direction I want to go. I mean, I usually know within the first 10 minutes being at a con, at a lab, then finally I know how to play that character, because you just, you know, read the surroundings and see what's happening, and then you just adjust to this. And yeah, I don't know, I basically, I personally need the framework to act within the frame, which may or may not expand. So, you know, build upon it, do stuff, and also, you know, involve people and in the game you're playing, and see what happens. Take it from there. So yeah, I don't know how you do this, but fair enough, it's been a while.
No, remember also, this was my very first character that I created, so I didn't really know how to approach it. I mean, also the reason the character is named Timotius, my real name is Tim. My thought, and I'll leave it at that. My thought was that, there'll be gaming situations where I'm so immersed, like, oh my goodness, look at this is such great situation, and somebody is calling my character in the background and saying, look over here, there's even a more extreme situation that you want to be part of, and I wouldn't react to it because it would be a different name. And nowadays, you know, if I play a character, I can sort of just, I turn the switch and I know, like, I'm currently this character, when that name is called, that's me, and I react. But back then I wasn't aware that I could do that, or how easy that would happen. And so I chose the name that was as close to my name as I could think of.
So you wouldn't forget and
exactly
recognize that it was about you.
Yeah, and I mean, I sort of told people in the beginning, the character is Timotius, but you can call him Tim.
Okay.
And a lot of the people in the crew did it in the beginning because they sort of, we'd met a couple of times. I mean, it was a big group of newbies, so we'd met a couple of times and we introduced ourselves, and you know, the whole concept of, well, this is his in-game name and this is an out-game name and everything. So they just Tim, they knew they were always on safe ground with Tim, and so that was what I was called by my crew in the beginning a lot. And yeah, now I don't have that problem anymore.
Fair enough, not for the best reasons, I know, but still.
Well, that's always a matter of perspective.
Yeah, depends. Understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, just with the character, drawing the line, I think is very important to kind of distinguish when you speak about the character and when.
Yeah, well, nowadays I wouldn't. It's a very well. First of all, that, but also it's a very clear distinction. That is Tim and that is Timotius and everything.
True. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. Has within that long time of character development, which was pretty much based on nothing at all in the very beginning, but well, many years have passed, so did the character development of Timotius at some point take a turn that you would have never seen coming? Anything really unexpected?
Yes. Sort of. I've talked to a few people about, you know, things and how they start out with creating a character and developing the character. I mean, and just now what you said. And as I said, when I started, I gave the character very little. He got a name, a profession, and that was it, sort of. There was very little. It was a lot of blank canvas. And then I sort of, just through gaming experiences, sort of said, well, yeah, this is what the character does. Like, I had an evening where I played dice and I won a lot. So, oh yeah, he's an avid gambler and he likes to gamble and he's good at gambling. I've done it similar to a couple of other characters, where I then sort of had one evening where they gambled and they lost. So I said, well, this character is clearly bad at gambling. It's a lot easier to be bad at gambling as a character than to be good at gambling. But so far, it has actually worked out that generally... Just reminded of a situation between her and me. I was bored at an event and I threw a copper on the ground. And I then, to every person who passed, I offered them 2 coppers to pick up my 1 piece of copper, until she came up and I offered her 2 coppers to pick my copper up. She paid me 3 coppers to pick my own copper up. So it's a very specific form of gambling if you want, but he still won.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember at the next round you then paid me the 2 coppers, and when I refused to let go of the 1 copper I was supposed to pick up, I still explain. So whenever he does that to you, he never says that you ought to give it back to him. So you might as well keep it. But
Yes,
then he
sure.
forced it out of my hand. Not very nice.
Yeah, but the biggest twist really that my character had, where it literally was, what the fuck, was
I love these points.
2019. I didn't go to the Drachenfest really in 2019. But I was there for the building and the taking down that I could do. And I then could arrange it so that I arrived on Friday evening, I think. Late in the evening I came.
I met you at the Thirsty Dagger then.
Yeah, and I found a crew which had a bit of room in one of their tents, and I slept there. So I was there sort of for the Saturday, and then on Sunday I was with the building team and we took everything down. And so I was there and I had a little bit of in-game time, even though I hadn't planned on it. And by that stage, my character had done the development that he started off as a simple crew member. Then he got a sort of like the ship's clerk position. Then he was made an officer, and then he became the captain. Then in the unit that he fought in at the with the Blue Camp, he joined the Sturmflut. Then he became an officer in the Sturmflut, and then he led the Sturmflut. And then after that, he became the army commander. And those were all things which, to a degree, I sort of had thought, well, yeah, at one point I would like to do that. And then they had all happened. And my character by that point sort of had been a bit exhausted, which was also reason why I didn't come 2019, because I was sort of saying, I don't know what to do anymore. And I just remember I was sitting at the area around the gate, you know, the battle area, and where the seat of the avatar is and everything. And I was sort of watching people and all the celebrations and everything. And the blue avatar and Libertania came to me. They came separate points, and then later on they came both together and had a conversation with me, and they sort of asked me, well, what are your future plans? And I sort of said, well, I don't really know. I always felt like I knew I had a goal, I had a destination, a way where the character wanted to go. And now the character had absolutely nothing. You know, I compared it like you've got a map with all the places you can go and you want to go, and all of a sudden that map is completely blank. You know? And you don't know where you are, and you don't know where you're going and everything.
Or in your case, more like one of those scratch maps, but every area is already scratched.
I would
because
have...
you've been around. Just saying.
I thought you were going to say, like, well, maybe you should have turned them up around and not the...
That would have been the blank space, but I don't quite see that. Not with you, honestly. There
Okay.
is possibility, you just have to discover it.
Yeah. But, yeah, well, they then sort of, in their own warped, twisted, very sick, and in dire need of psychological assistant minds, came up with the fantastic idea, you should become a priest of the Blue Camp. And I don't know how other people would have felt about it at the time, but in my opinion, Timotius was one of the very worst choices for priesthood.
Certainly an interesting choice. Shall we keep it at that?
A very diplomatic answer.
I know, right? I'm very good at that.
Yes, yeah. You'd have to be batshit crazy to choose this guy as a priest, in my opinion. And I sort of told them, but by this stage, one was sitting here, one was there. It wasn't devil and angel, it was devil and devil, in my opinion.
Figures.
Yeah, and they said, nah, you should do that. And sort of the character sort of said, bloody stupid idea. And the player said, interesting. Something completely different and crazy, and who knows where it will end.
Exactly.
And so I said to myself, okay, I'll do it. I'll just it's a gaming opportunity. It's in a completely new path direction. You do it. And I sort of told them in character, okay, I will do it, but I will make you regret it. This time next year, you will hate yourselves for suggesting that I should become a priest. Now, the avatars clearly took that threat seriously, because they caused a pandemic for 2 years, so that they did... Okay. No, they didn't. They didn't. No, sorry. They weren't like me insinuating that they were in any way involved, and they weren't. But the directly 1 year afterwards, I couldn't, because, of course,
for obvious reasons,
COVID came, and I thought to myself, okay, well, just gives me more time to think of more stupid things to do to them and with the camp. And I had a lot of ideas. Some of them I really, really was looking forward to doing. Unfortunately, because of some other things that happened, once my character was in the Blue Camp again and interacted with the avatars, he sort of realized, this slapstick approach that I was sort of planning on doing, and some of the jokes and pranks I was planning to play on them, I said, it would be bad. It's the wrong approach for the game, for the situation and everything. So I had to adapt to the situation. I had at least one day where I didn't really know what to do in the camp and with myself and with the character. But I found that out. I went through the camp and I talked with a lot of people and asked them questions, and I got some very interesting answers. So anyone out there who was involved in that and part of that gameplay, very thankful for that, because I asked pretty much every group, every crew the same questions, and I got a different answer every single time, which was very interesting. And yeah, that sort of helped me to find how that character of Timotius, how he fit into the role, into the mold of a priest in the Blue Camp. And it was interesting, let's put it that way, interesting. And yeah, it was interesting, and I liked it altogether, with the result that I'm saying, yeah, I'm gonna continue to do it. I have one or two ideas of what I want to do, and well, for those you have to simply be patient and await the things that are going to unfold.
Oh dear. Yes, great, fantastic. So you already answered one of my next questions, which was basically something that you've set for yourself, goals, something that you want to achieve. But also, on the other hand, what is it that you would like to avoid? So anything where you'd say that would be the absolute worst case to happen to Timotius.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, we can also downgrade it like to minor occurrences and such.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, just just to the first question, you know, what is sort of goals and everything. I completed one goal that I had since the first Drachenfest last year. So,
it took you how long?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. What was it?
I wanted to go to the casino. I never had time to go to the casino. And last year, for the very first time, amongst other things, because of the my crew and the group that we camped together, they organized time for me so that I could actually go. And it was really nice. I enjoyed it and everything. It was a fun evening. But, you know, I'd always said, oh, I just want to go to the casino. You know, the guy is good at gambling. He wants to go to the casino, obviously. Yeah. And, but I never had time for it. And then I did that last year. So technically there's only 2 things really left on the list of things he wants to do that he had since the very beginning. One of them is he wants his name to appear in the newspaper for robbing the bank. That was, you know, an ambition from the very first year. These days he will probably settle for simply having his name in the newspaper because, you know, it's almost stereotype that the blue camp robs the bank. But I can live with that.
There are so many reasons your name can be put in that newspaper.
Yes.
I mean, who would think of, you know, have great ideas on how to achieve this?
Yeah.
Any volunteers? Hit me up.
And the other one is he wants to go to one of those discreet gentleman clubs, you know, the Vitalium.
Ah.
Never went. He never had time.
The city is right next door. How? Just...
Never had time. I once came back.
It's never a question of time, it's a question of priorities.
Yeah, and clearly I had the wrong priorities because I once came back into my camp with my crew and they said, come here, join us. We cooked, we left you something. And I said, I can't. I fell down. I was so exhausted. I just couldn't move. And so they came and they started to feed me, you know, one spoon after another and saying, one for the avatar, and one for the camp, and one for the crew. And I was sitting there, nom, 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 I hate you. I'm going to kill you all. Nom, 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 when you're asleep. Nom, 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 and stuff. And I couldn't bloody move because I was...
Overexhausted yourself yet again.
Yes. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
The other part of my question, bad stuff happening.
It's a good question. I mean, technically something bad happened, I want to say this year or at the last Drachenfest, happened to Timotius. But it was bad in-game and out-game. I thought, oh my god, this is fantastic and everything, you know. There was a moment where it really looked like Timotius and the Blue Dragon, that they were going to split. I don't know whether you want to call it friendship, relationship, or the dynamic that Timotius would say, I'm no longer following the Blue Dragon.
His faith was shattered.
Yes. It wasn't. It turns out it wasn't shattered, but it was fucking tested in a way that I never would have thought possible. And just anyone who was involved in that, kudos, especially to our 2 avatars who Jesus, that was a curveball I did not expect. It was really, really fantastic. I enjoyed it so much. The player enjoyed it. The character fucking hated that. He really hated it.
Those are the best situations.
It was a fantastic situation.
Love it.
I mean, it's sort of, it's a story. It's an epic, in my opinion. I mean, definitely for the character, it was just such an epic story. And at some point, if you want to hear it, I'll gladly tell it to you. But I just think here at this point, it will be
It exceeds the
exactly.
limits, yeah.
So what would Timotius really hate? He's very fearful of magic. So if he ever finds out he has any magical abilities, that would seriously mess with him. And what?
Nothing. Carry on.
And otherwise, I think something like, I mean, the character has more than his fair of failures and situations, you know, where he attempted to do something and it didn't succeed, you know, didn't try to rob the bank, it didn't succeed, tried to
Rob the bank again and it didn't succeed, yeah.
Yes, and then there was that third time.
All right, yes.
And, you know, just tried to capture the banner of a different camp and it didn't work out. But sort of where you say, well, there's always a certain risk of failure involved in certain endeavors. But sort of to let the camp down properly, it would probably be something where you said, oh, Jesus, you should have known this, and it was obvious, you were told something. It's difficult, but sort of really that the character thinks like this is his fault and he should have known better and so on. That probably is one of his biggest fears. It would be interesting from a gaming point, you know, especially sort of like the whole camp is pissed off at Timotius. Would be very interesting. Though the player is sort of dubious and like, well, how pissed off are you with me? You know,
scale from 1 to 10,
just
like,
a little
off to the gallows with you, or are we just gonna have, you know, you're gonna buy us a drink?
Yeah, well, sort of those two things. The gallows, he don't mind. The drink, well, that's his money, so no. But it would be more sort of like that the character would be shunned in the camp, that he would be outcast. That would,
exiled.
I think, that would be the biggest fear and
that
punishment.
Would require a major fuck up. So that would be
Did somebody
really
say
hard.
major fuck up?
Yeah, never mind. I take that back. Fantastic. But yeah, okay. I do see that.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Besides his long-term love and hate relationship with the avatars, I could say at this point.
Yes.
I know that you do know many people, and many of those within camp, you've been there for a long time, all of you. Any long-term standing friendships where you would say, yes, this and that happened and we had this bond that formed this relationship, and to this day I'm very fond of this? It's a tough question, I know.
Yeah, but it would be pretty much my good Spanish friend Ernesto. Ever since Trevor Garnier appeared with What City Watch and everything, I loved the gaming with this man and this group. I mean, I normally don't like these kind of questions because you know, picking one person, but just there was a clear immediate. He's one of the people I've known the longest and with whom I worked very intensely. He gave me lots of tickets when he was still part of the City Watch, which I treasure very much. And also, we then spent a couple of years together where we worked on a project where we tried to reform the army in the blue camp, because we had a period where that was one of the areas in the blue camp which existed on paper almost, but nothing really happened, and we succeeded in what we set out to do. I mean, the blue camp, okay, last year we were quite strong militarily, but generally, as a rule, the blue camp is not the dominant military force. You will think of camps like the red camp or the gold camp as, you know, camps that tend to be military, the strong camps, or the green camp because it's a very big camp, but not with the blue camp. But we sort of said, okay, well, we don't want to be the military superpowers, but we should have a competent fighting force. And that, in my opinion, has happened. And we worked very many hours on this. We had a lot of online meetings. Then at events like the Vorcon before the Drachenfest, and afterwards, you know, there were meetings at the Drachenfest, and each year that we worked on it, we tried, you know, just improve it a little bit, get a bit more organized, and then we started 2016, and back then we said, well, we're gonna need at least we're gonna need at least 2 or 3 years before it will effectively happen. And that was, as I said, 2016, and then so there was 16, 17, and then 18 we won, which wasn't down just to the Blue Army, but the Blue Army was strong enough that we managed to contribute and to win the Endschlacht, the final battle, which also added points, which, so from our point of view, we said, yeah, no, we succeeded on our project, and that was one of the most memorable and fond times and projects that I was involved in. So I remember once with Trevor, we were sitting in the captain's table, and there was some discussion, and Trevor had made a point about something, a valid point, and I said, I agree with my Spanish friend. And Trevor goes, I am not Spanish, I am
Anglo-Porkian.
Yeah, I am a Porkian. And I mean, he was outraged, and I insulted him. As he should be. It was one of my absolute, and I sort of like, yeah, it was just my subconscious, like, yeah, I agree with, and like, that was, I loved that. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for that.
Well deserved then.
Yes.
Very good. That actually already takes me to my last question to you.
Okay, and before you ask me that, I'm going to ask you a few questions now.
Damn it!
Yes.
I hope you forgot!
No, not at all.
It went so well!
Yes, but no such luck.
Oh dear.
Now, your character that you're currently playing, Azina, she is a merchant. So, just to some other people out there who are not merchant players or just starting to be merchant players, sort of what are the general approaches that you take to the merchant game aspects? Because some people, they will have a proper a trader post where they have lots of stuff, like in Aldarach, the whole merchant smile and everything.
Yes.
But that's all they do. They just they're just in their shop, just selling all the time, and that's because they actually need to earn money. But you are a character who plays that they have to earn their keep, and not just at the Drachenfest, but at the other events where you are. So sometimes you will have some tradable goods, but sometimes also it's sort of the almost the metagaming where you say, oh yeah, 10 tons of wood I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to your apartment, but I doubt that it's filled with 10 tons of wood and
that is
other
surprisingly true.
Yeah,
yes. Unfortunately, sometimes because
okay. Yeah,
building stuff is fun. It always depends. So I mean, you have those people who play merchants who would only trade in like off-game goods. And I personally, well, the background I have is that the family, they have, they're traders, and they have jewelry and all of the fine stuff and such. So and that was a background that I basically snuck my way into with my dear friend Isha, who, after I stopped playing my voodoo girl, and I said, I need help. I don't know what to play, and she said, well, you could join if you like. And so it basically ended up being this whole thing, and she is the fighter of the family, and she said, well, we also have this trading company thing. You do with it whatever you want. I said, great, I'll do that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically how it ended up that way. I like to do both. So I have this trading post here on this island and a trading post at that island, and at the same time just making money on the sides and forming contacts and forging relations. And this is the main reason why I do throw lots of out-of-game money into this project. And this is something for all aspiring merchants, players out there. You will lose money, but that's fine. All the contacts you're gaining from this is so worth it. And yeah, so I just, I don't know, took a bunch of monies and threw that in there and got that big box with all the shinies. And people are like, oh, that's great. Can we have, like, yeah, sure, tell me who you are. This is also a great entrance ticket to any camp out there, by the way. So this is great fun.
Yeah, you're already going to my next question that I was going to have, because you are one of the people who I place in the very top when it comes to networking. You are fantastic.
Thanks.
Well, as far as I'm concerned. You said earlier, you know, I know everybody. I don't know everybody. In the blue camp, I might know most people, but I don't know everybody. And this young lady here knows everybody. She knows the names of their family members, the names of their pets, what they are allergic to, where the children go to school, in-game and out-game. That's at least how it feels like to me.
I couldn't tell you what I had for lunch yesterday, but that kind of information I do remember. I don't know, it just sticks to my head. And I know that many people have this issue of, so yeah, you get to introduce yourself to someone new, and that person tells you their name, and it's gone. Just like that. Yeah. Not for me. That's great, that's good. So this is something very helpful in many ways, within the camp, also outside the camp. And yeah, I do enjoy the networking part. I like to introduce people.
Do you have like a system that, you know, there's that story of the used cars merchant who, when they meet you and learn your name, they will use your name 3 times quickly in a short time. So Mr. Anderson, come over here, Mr. Anderson. Look at this, Mr. Anderson, so that it locks in their head and they don't forget the name. Do you have a system like that, or are you just naturally good at remembering names and putting the corresponding face to it?
Usually it's the latter, but some people tend to pick names which are quite difficult, and the pronunciation does not match with the spelling at all. So that's the ones that I'm kind of struggling with. So I have my notebook on me all the time. So I would just go to them and say, so how do I spell this? So just I can take the notes, so I would find you again, and they would spell it. So I could write it, and as soon as I've written it once, it's in there.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. There's some people like, what's your name? Tom. How do you spell that? With a silent K.
Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like I don't know where that kind of you know, talent comes from. I'm very grateful for that gift. In fact, it took me a while to actually make use of it for in-game play, because I thought it wouldn't, you know, it's great that you remember everyone, but it's just, I don't know, it's so unnecessary when you could be concerned with more important stuff, until I figured out that this actually helps the more important stuff. There are a couple of lab characters where I really try my hardest to suppress it. It does not work well.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's some people I know, they are really good at suppressing, or just, oh, for this character I want to have a bit of that and a bit of that, and that's just how they play it. With me, I love to do some funny, crazy, stupid stuff, and so I will sometimes start with a character and he's very, very serious, and then I once played a surgeon, a doctor, and then I thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if I removed the wrong leg? And yeah, that happened.
Sometimes the Tim brain takes over, yeah?
Yes, yes. But I think what you just said, with the networking, a very important aspect when you network, whether you do it deliberately or by accident, is the people have to remember you and associate you somehow positively. Interesting conversation, a good deal, or whatever, or in my case, well, he makes me laugh, it was funny, and the plans work out more often than you really think. And so somehow, if people associate you positively somehow, that is a great way to network. So you also have to remember, well, I could, charge them 5 copper pieces now, but I like that picture you have on your hat. You'll get the family discount today. You only have to pay 3.
Yeah, it's a usual thing of so I don't know, if I spent time chatting with someone and I would say, well, usually that would be around 6 copper, but I enjoyed the chat we had and I kind of like you, so let's make it 4, and next time I request something from you, then I'm sure we get even.
Yeah.
And that works actually quite well. And whether it be the trading with actual material goods on site, or the way of course, so for your new fort or for your new place that your settlement or whatever, you require what exactly. Okay, I'll make a list, I'll check with my trading posts and see what we can send you, and I will let you know latest via letter. And this way you create metagaming, and this way you kind of get together, you help each other out, and that makes usually my character richer, and you will be happy. So it's a great trade-off.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I remember myself, we once, no, not we, but my character once had a situation where we had done a deal like that. We did some meta trading gaming, and we thought, okay, well, that's it, and a handshake, and it was done. And the person then came to me and they brought me like an official document, sort of saying, here, blah, blah. And sort of it was a nice document to have, with sort of a little drawing of a map, where it was being delivered, and blah, blah, and this and that. Yeah. And it just, you saw, they spent some time making this document. So sometimes and it's just a small little detail, but it adds to the whole gaming experience. And
trade letters, I love them.
Yes. And again, sort of what I was just saying, people will be remembered in a positive light. So sometimes that's a brilliant thing, especially with a nice seal and a little bit of ribbon. Small things like that, they are very welcome, I find.
Yeah, it's always the material stuff, not just the idea that you have, or the good impression or whatsoever. It's if you have one of those trading letters, and I finally now have my own wax seal as well, and I already bothered a friend of mine who's very good with graphics and such, so we could somehow compose such trading letter as a blank, and then you just basically fill in the names and such. So you sign it, both parties sign it, and you have, I don't know, something to hand out to people. Yeah. And this is also a very, very nice part on the metagaming to, set these things up, because obviously, like you said before, I do not have 10 tons of wood in my place. This is not happening, but that's just on the telling area, and that's perfectly fine. But you have something to show for it, and this makes it more realistic.
Yes. Wait, then let me just quickly check my questions before you come to my last one. Oh yeah, 2 more questions. Well, actually, 2 main questions. First of all, sort of the other camps. Do you have particular camps where you say, oh, I really like this camp, or I don't like this camp? The dislike, I suppose, would only be relevant here if you don't like them in-game, like the Copper camp, for some obvious reason. So what is sort of your character's view and appreciation of the other camps?
Well, I've visited many. I spent a lot of time at the last Drachenfest. I spent a lot of time at Red Camp because we were just, I don't know, walking through the soles of our shoes by walking back and forth the Red Camp and the Blue Camp because of plot reasons where I was involved with Norek and Lux. And that was amazing and that was great fun. And so we got to spend a lot of time there, and we also partially watched the champions fight, which was pretty cool, and also the gold camp where the two of us also walked back and forth a few times. So I also enjoyed that a lot. I don't have any favorites, but especially these two camps altogether, the atmosphere was nice, and those were places where I thought, okay, I like to spend time here, and I don't mind it, like not within another camp which I'm not going to name because I don't want to seem rude or unfair, where I was often and thought I can't wait to leave again. It's just uncomfortable and I don't think I like you. It's, I don't know, probably because due to the fact that the players did a great job at, carrying what they did, and it just so different from the beliefs and the construct that Azina is, that it made me actually like uncomfortable in every way, and I thought, no, this is not for me. I could never be here. I could never follow this dragon. I mean, good job for everyone delivering the character, the flair, the everything that entails it, but for me, it's like, no, I'm getting out of here as soon as I can. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, and I mean, you probably, because you've been in the Blue Camp for so long, I mean, so much longer than
Obviously.
me. Yeah, in the Blue Camp, you will have your fair share of stories and interactions with the blue avatars, but what about other avatars? Do you ever had any interactions with them where you said that was interesting, it was funny, it scary?
I usually, I don't know, I'm one of those complicated people who hardly ever play with NPCs because I feel like I'm wasting their time when I know that I'm not. But this is why on my end, I never even approached the blue avatar, and the most time I ever spent with them was with Libertania when we were walking back and forth the gold camp last time. But I know, and it's not you, it's me.
Well, I agree to a certain point. Like, I know I'm wasting their time when I'm talking to them.
But you do it deliberately. That is the difference.
Yes.
In that matter, I wish I could comment in any way, but I really can't. Yeah. Well, I never exchanged words with anyone, I think, besides the gold avatar. That was late night 2018. You remember the shorter videos you've made, where I told everybody about the fun story of him turning up at 2 o'clock in the morning at our camp gate.
And you wanted to talk to the army commander and the chief diplomat, both of whom were pissed at the time.
Drunk out of their minds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you found a certain Askia who at that time was a new unknown in the blue camp, Hardly anyone knew him back then.
Yeah, and I tried to drag him there, but obviously that didn't quite work out. And he dragged those two drunk as fuck dudes. They were so confused. It was great fun. But and I sent them there, and I don't know how they managed this situation. I just remember grabbing one of Askia's port bottles from the table and just chugging it down. And then I also walked down there because I thought, I have to see this. I have to see how they actually got to talk to him.
I just remember in that video that you said, and they both seem to sober up very quickly.
Yeah, it took a while to get my point across who it was who was at the gate at 2 o'clock in the morning, the night before the final battle, but obviously, and they were both like, yeah, what? And then they ran off, and I thought, oh dear. This is not going to end well.
I remember myself, I mainly had with the blue avatars the interactions and everything, because unlike some players, I spent most of my time really in the camp. The character goes out every now and then, be it into the town or, to attack some other camp or, to...
Limbos.
Yes, that as well. Or, things. But I would say over 50% of the time the character is in camp, somewhere between 70 to 80. And there's more than enough to do within the camp, so it's not like, I feel that I'm being denied anything. But it's just, if you spend mainly the time in one camp, then with those avatars, it's more likely that you're going to have a lot of interactions. But I've had 1 or 2 interactions with other avatars, and my favorite... was, just as a small anecdote, was with the red avatar, played by the old player of the red avatar. So it's a few years ago, because I think he's...
Marcella's been around for a couple of years.
Yeah, he's been... so the red avatar was watching his camp attack a different camp. And it was... can't remember which camp they were attacking. It's just, it was close to the blue camp that the avatar was standing, watching, looking downhill, where the attack was taking place. And I had my mug with me, and I thought, oh, there's the red avatar. Oh, I'm going to do something. So I went out the camp, and saw the where the springs are, where you can get water.
Oh yeah.
So I went there, rinsed out my mug, filled it up with cold water, and walked up to the red avatar, and I said, "Excuse me, red avatar, can the blue camp offer you a drink of fresh cold water?" And I offered it to him, and he, very grateful, took the mug and he drank it. Looked at me, sort of nodded, and then he drank it and emptied it and handed it back and said, "Thank you very much." And then he turned to the people around him, the red camp followers, and said, "Well, it's nice to see that at least the blue camp takes care of us."
Whoa! Harsh.
Yes.
Harsh. Yeah.
And for anyone out there, all avatars will always appreciate a nice cold drink as long as it's not alcoholic.
Take
a
care of your
non-alcoholic
avatars, they're
beverage.
precious.
Yeah. Well, not just your own. Take of all the avatars, because they need it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that brings to mind a situation not due to like a personal exchange with an avatar, but last Drachenfest we were kind of stuck at Red Camp, and the white avatar was there as well, and they were under siege. So it was a bit complicated. So Big Red just basically got up and said, "Bring me my shoulders." And then they kind of, dressed him up, and he took his big hammer and was like, "Yeah, I'm going to take you out of here," because she had a bunch of children with her.
Ah, yeah, okay.
So that was a bit complicated, obviously. And we were like, so maybe just, we need to get back. Maybe just come along. And
I'm
like,
somebody's child as well. I'm just taller than the rest of these.
And so we basically snuck up behind and snuck out of the camp, escorted by the avatars personally. Of course, we're like, thank you.
Yes.
So yeah, that was great fun. Especially, I think, because it was also partially some of ours at the siege on the other side of the wall. So that was well.
I'm also reminded when I hear sort of like a situation like that. In my first year in 2011, there was a lovely story, which I don't know if it's true. I hope it's true, but apparently there was a siege of, I think it was the Gold Camp. It was besieged by, 3 or 4 other camps, and all of a sudden, a member of the Verdone family was walking through the battle and said, let me through, I've got an appointment at the Golden Camp. And they let him through. Gold opened the gate in the middle of the siege, let this guy in, closed it, the siege continued, and later on, this guy, the gate was opened again, this guy walked out with the people he wanted to take out, and it was all allowed. Nobody stopped him, and I hope that story is true. It wouldn't surprise me if it's true, but
not at all.
Also, if it's just the rumor that has happened, is brilliant. Those are things I love. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, the honourable family of Verdun is not the local mafia. No, there is no mafia in Aldarach.
Just very nice, very capable tradesmen.
Very concerned citizens.
Yes, certainly so.
Yes.
Certainly so.
Mm.
So, shall I get to my last question?
If you must.
I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm sure we could carry on. I saw your catalogue of questions, but so if you could restart Timotius from scratch,
yes,
is there anything you would change? And if so, what would it be?
The shirt.
Understandable. Relatable. Fair enough. Okay. Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Yes. Now, what would I change about the character? I think I'm gonna have to stay with my original answer. That it was meant as a joke answer, but literally, if I had to start the character again, I wouldn't want to change anything. The only thing I would want, if I started the character again, would be
the trademark shirt.
With a fresh, clean shirt. That at least I start with that.
You don't need to change or restart your character to actually put on a proper shirt.
Darling, listen to me.
Yes.
Last year, my character was at a different event called Tortuga, so were you. For at least part of it. I think you left a bit early because somebody was getting married in real life, and so you were there for the beginning of the event.
Vanessa.
Yeah, and so obviously for an important event like that, you went to the wedding.
Yes.
But during that event, another big story, which I won't go into now, but my character became business owner, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
She knows the whole story. So I became a business owner, and the business had a grand opening. And I thought, well,
it wasn't that grand.
It was
more like that narrow, but...
It was spectacular. It's a great, great story.
Mm-hmm.
But the character thought, well, Briar, he should, make an effort. So he bought himself a brand new shirt, and he donned it, a brand new, crisp, clean shirt. Half an hour later, a cannon exploded next to him and nearly killed him. Yeah. So, as the character also says, it's his best shirt. It's not the cleanest. It's not the one that is the most in the best state of repair. It's the best shirt, because when he wears it, the best stuff happens. This shirt has a lot more character than some people that I have met during... the gaming experience of my 10 plus years of LARPing now.
I mean, obviously it's a very rare thing for a cannon to go off in a pirate's nest like Tortuga, so that couldn't have happened anywhere at all.
Yeah, one cannon exploded at that event. One cannon. One person was standing next to that cannon. One person.
You should get better good luck charms, I think. I gave you one once.
Yes, but he already has it. He has the best shirt. He has the best shirt. The best things happen when he wears that shirt. So, as a rule, he just wears that shirt to make sure that the good stuff happens. And the one time he was foolish enough to change his shirt, to wear a new shirt, he got the consequence. Within half an hour.
Have you also worn that shirt later on when other things happened?
Yes.
Like, not the new one. Or was
No. When that happened, he wasn't wearing it.
See?
Yeah, when that other bad stuff happened, he wasn't wearing it. When he escaped out of prison, he was.
We shall leave it at that.
Yes. Wait, let me just check my list. One question which normally is in my list is, well, do you have any questions for me? But I think we've sorted that.
I've had plenty.
Yes. So my last two sort of questions are going to be, first of all, what do you still yourself have personal goals and ambitions where you say, oh, I really wanted to do this with the character, or just me as a player, you know, this artist like Rojos, I really want to see him live performing, or anything like that? Any goals and ambitions still left, or have you seen it all, done it all? And
oh, not at all. I've only been playing this character since 2018. So there is still a lot on my list. I mean, for last year I went to the Drachenfest saying I will become a judge of the Blue Camp, and I became a judge of the Blue Camp. Azina's next goal is I want to become a Don of Tortuga. So that's my goal for this year. See what happens, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I may still try. There are a couple of things I have on my list, and that list is ever extending. So there could be plenty of things happening in the future. There could be none. And I've had my very calm years where I didn't have to do anything and was partially even bored out of my mind, because back then I didn't really know that many people, and I don't know what happened between 2020 and 2022. But somehow the only time I walked through camp and actually got quickly from A to B was when I was in a disguise. Because I was going to, certain midnight events and dressed down entirely, and nobody recognized me.
Okay.
That was great fun. Also, several goals for her beliefs, for her personal gains, as well as also some goals which are related to the background story, like for the family. She has the whole family background, the trading company and such, so build an empire pretty much. Trading empire.
Yeah, it's just some personal this and that, building an empire. It's just a little empire.
That's just like the final goal. Whatever happens in between happens. But yeah, you gotta have big goals and see what happens on the way, because this is the my favorite way of playing. You know, the way is the actual thing that we achieve, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and sort of a final question, which I feel is a bit of an unfair question, because at the moment the temperatures outside are still quite cold. I mean, where I live around here, we've been having minus temperatures. Yeah, I'm not outside. I'm indoor. I have central heating.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay, but what are your predictions for the weather at this year's Drachenfest?
I'm hoping for moderate weather, and if it is anything like last year, then I would be happy, because that was only like 36 degrees and not 44.
It was altogether, it was a surprisingly good year, temperature-wise. I mean, there were phases where it was still quite hot, but some years which we've been...
18 and 19 were just horrendous.
Yeah, where it was like you were just being boiled alive, and then other years...
drowned in your own skin, yes.
Yeah, or being washed away.
Drowning in the mud.
Yes. So, you were there because 2015 you joined and you were in the building team, so you would have been there 2017 when we had Schlammergeddon.
Yeah, we did
the year of mud.
Well, we dug little drainage channels around our tent.
Where the Blue Camp looked like Venice.
Yeah,
with all the little
great.
Channels and
I mean, you didn't have to improvise any of the supposed this is water and there are ships somewhere, because there was water everywhere.
I would have looking back, I would have loved if, you know what, I'm just going to start the rumor. You know, we'd dug little channels and everything, and people would write little notes and then fold them into wee paper boats and just send them off.
Oh, you mean the little nutshells?
Yeah.
The walnut shells.
Yeah,
yes,
you know, that happened.
Well.
We communicated the whole time like that, you know, downhill.
Downhill, at least, yeah. They just had to send a runner up, but that was complicated because of the mud, so they kept sliding down. So, you know, it was
You had to wait days for an answer. It was awful. Yeah. It was absolutely ghastly. These young fellow me lads that come these days, they don't know how well they have it. You know, they weren't there, did they?
I would wish for a year where the grass would stay green the entire time, because this is something I miss. Walking through like grass and not the harsh stubble that tries to force its way through your skin when you walk over the you know, that would be very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are almost done. The sort of last thing is there anyone do you have any final thoughts and questions now where we're at the end? How much do you regret volunteering for this? After
not as much as I expected.
Not as... Okay. Shoot.
You could have done worse, you know?
Seriously could have done worse, but...
Yeah, so we still, the two of us, we still have to think of something because we haven't told my favorite anecdote yet. In 2020, I had a dream. I had a dream my life would be. I can't recall much of the dream, but I do recall speaking to him, and
to the character.
To the character, of course, to Timotius, and I was there as Azina in my dream, and we were in the blue camp, and we were sat somewhere on like a bench or something, and I remember the only parts I remember is saying, "But Timotius, that would be a really stupid idea," and he said, "Yes, that's exactly why we should do it." But in that exact tone of voice that I know most people who are listening to this right now, I can absolutely figure out how he would have said that. And that was my dream. And at some point later on, I don't know why, my dream switched, something happened, and I remember like crawling under the table of the captain's table and installing something. I don't know what I was doing. I can't recall. But ever since, I gave him a call the next day or sent him a message and told him about that dream, and he said that would be the exact same conversation we would have had.
Yeah, that would have been if she goes and says that's a really stupid idea, and that's exactly why we should do it.
Yeah. So stay tuned. I don't know yet what it is we're gonna do, but my dream predicted that we would. So we have to. There's no way around it.
But I mean, sort of for me, it's not quite right, and it would be too long a story altogether, but just remember that night in the dark forest where we were hunting a tortoise.
We swore never to speak about this!
Yeah, well, this is just YouTube. It's just
who's going to listen to this anyway?
I won't tell you the whole story, but there was a situation where I had an idea, and they all looked at me and said, "That's a stupid idea." And I said, "And that's exactly why I will do it."
Fun.
And the scary thing is, it worked.
It did. And the grand opening.
Yeah, the grand opening. Yeah, it's yeah.
We're getting carried away. Maybe.
Yeah, we are getting carried away, but I don't want to leave the people just quite hanging, and I see just timing-wise, it should be fine. The short version is of the story.
Oh, you could put in the meme I made you.
Yeah. Yes. Now, a couple of people from the Blue Camp were in Tortuga, and we were sitting in the tavern, and we were just talking. And then somebody came along and said, "Yeah, I need help to find the governor's turtle." And on Tortuga, there are many different things, traditions that have to take place so that the island doesn't sink, that calamity is averted. And one of them is that at the end of the pirate games, the governor of Tortuga has to kiss his turtle on the posterior. Don't ask why. We never did.
Nope. Some questions you don't want the answer to.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the turtle had escaped. Don't ask why. We were not responsible. We were not involved. And now, this person who was responsible and was involved wanted our help to find this turtle. It was already dark, and so you, me, who was else? Viola was there. Cici and Rochus. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Rochus went out into the dark forest, and I, after a short while, realized I think I'm the only one who's got a weapon on him.
And Cici had her weapons as well, and Viola too.
Yeah. Oh. Ja, es gibt bestimmte Waffen, die eine Frau niemals ablegt.
Ja.
And the group as such was only armed with lettuce and melon, because those are the things that a tortoise or turtle likes to eat. So we were going into this dark forest, and after a while, after realizing the only one who I thought was armed, sort of told them, look, guys, we're in the middle of a dark forest where I've been told there's demonic demonic pirates, there's bandits, there's redcoats, and we are walking around armed with lettuce and melon, shouting really loudly the name of the turtle, Maximilian Balthasar. Really loudly. And I said, this is bloody stupid. And I don't know
what?
And I don't know who it was, whether it was you, whether it was Cici, but somebody said, well, how would you find the turtle? And I said, well, it's simple. You just open a turtle brothel and wait for the turtle to turn up. And that's what we did. And well, that's what I did.
It's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we spent the whole next day building one. You know, there was an old wine crate, which Woody's the carpenter from the Lou camp, he rebuilt it so it functioned as a brothel. I found people who had crayons and pencils, and they drew a sign on the thing. And wait, one second. Keep them entertained.
Yeah. So he ran through the entire place and looking for candles. And came to me like, Azina, do you know where I can find red candles? I looked at him. I looked at the camp right behind him and said, there. And he just like, yes, thank you, and ran off. I thought, I don't even want to know.
Well, the red light district.
Of course, yes, that's what I figured out later. But
yeah.
It took me a lot longer.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we did so many things, including another thing that involves you. I went to the local harbor master, and I thought, well, you know, I don't want this plan to backfire just because at the end some bureaucrat comes along and says, well, do you even have a license? The paperwork, do you have a license for this, for that, and so on. So we applied for everything. And apparently a certain trader came to the harbor masters later on and wanted to open a trading post. And what did the lady tell you?
I am sorry, I do not have time right now. I have shit tons of papers to fill out for a turtle brothel. Who even thinks of something as stupid as that? And I sat there like, I don't know. Must be someone really dumb.
Yeah. Now, and we applied for the license to advertise. You know, advertising license. And you know from the ice creams, the little wooden sticks, we got some of those. And then we got...
oh, yeah.
And then we got... I don't know whether the camera will capture that, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, should just about see it. You see a turtle, then you see love and an arrow. So we had at turtle level little signs pointing, you know, this direction to the turtle brothel. And that was the business the business of which I was the new owner, for which, when it was all finished and done, that I bought a new shirt. And, you know, up until that point, I was wearing the old shirt, the best shirt. And all the time, things worked out. I found people, you know, I found someone who had little, in real life, little plastic turtles. But he gave them to me so that they were the staff members. I found a trader who had little bags, little pouches, which he then filled with textiles so that they were like big pillows, and then we could place the turtles on them. Then we had from someone else like who had big seashells, and then we put melon and lettuce and that, so there was a buffet as well for the turtles. And then one trader, he had a little wooden whip, no, not little, a little leather whip. So because we didn't know what the preferences were of Maximilian Balthasar.
You never know what they're into.
Yeah, and we didn't want to later on say, yeah, he came by, he had a quick look, but there was nothing for him, for his taste and desire, so he left again. So everything was catered to, and that was all done while wearing the best shirt. And as soon as I took that off and donned the brand new, clean, crisp shirt, a cannon exploded next to me. So yeah, I'll leave you with that thought in your head. Don't wear new clothes, wear the best clothes. That's the moral of the story and nothing else.
Turtle brothel, yes.
Turtle brothel, yeah. Okay, so we're done now with the interview. We can now send our greetings out there into the wide world interweb. Do we want to greet anyone out there?
Everyone I know, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to roll out that list because otherwise the video will be a lot longer. So lots of love to everyone, and I'm really looking forward to all the places where we meet the Blue Campers again this year, especially then later on at the Drachenfest.
Yeah, well, starting tonight. Tonight we're going to meet a couple of Blue Campers, and Tortuga probably first, and Vorkon, and then the Drachenfest itself, and you know, all the different smaller taverns and the Nachkon, everything. Yeah, it hopefully will be a good year.
Yes.
We deserve another good year.
We do.
Especially some of the people that we didn't see last year at Drachenfest and so on. Everyone will have their own personal list of people that they didn't see and everything and miss. So hopefully we will see each other again soon. And until then, guys, please stay healthy, stay happy. If you have thoughts or comments, as I said, this is the last video of this kind that I'm gonna do, but if there's something else, some other project we want to start together, if it's a stupid idea, I'm in. So
that's your guy.
Yes. So until then, stay healthy, stay happy, and think up some stupid shit for this coming Drachenfest. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, now turn this off. Yeah. Okay, Jesus Christ, I hate the Blue Camp and they are awful.
I've tried, and I've tried even more. I've cried, and I can't recall what for. I've pressed, I pushed, I've yelled, I begged in hopes of some success. But the inevitable fact is that it never will impress. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have runneth dry. I've tried to go fuck shopping, but there's no fucks left to buy. I've no more fucks to give, the more fucks I've tried to get. I'm over my fuck budget, and I'm now in fucking debt. I strive to get everything done. I've played by all the rules, but I've very rarely won. I've smiled, I've charmed, I've wooed and laughed, alas to no avail. I've run round like a dullard to unequivocally fail. I've no more fucks to give. My fuck fuse has just blown. I've been hunting for my fucks all day, but they've upped and fucked off home. I've no more fucks to give. My fuck rations are depleted. I've rallied my fuck army, but it's been fucking defeated. The effort has just not been worth the time or the expense. I've exhausted all my energy for minimal recompense. The complete lack of acknowledgement has now begun to gall, and I've come to realize that I don't give a fuck at all. I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have flown away. My fucks are now so fucked off they refuse to fucking stay. I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have gone insane. They've come back round and passed me while they're fucking off again. I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have all dissolved. I've planned many projects, but my fucks won't be involved. I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have all been spent. They fucked off from the building and I don't know where they went. I've no more fucks to give. I've no more fucks to give. I've no more fucks. I've no more fucks. I've no more fucks to give.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.